Like you read your mind. None of it. My name's Mark. Basically, when I was younger, I wanted to be an archaeologist, and I did want to go to college, but I grew up in a family where my mum brought 5 lads and 1 daughter on her own, and when I was like 16, sort of like I had to get a job to support myself, really, and find somewhere, to live and stuff. It's like a bit difficult, Your dreams can't really be your dreams if you ain't got the means, do you? Basically, I had a bit of a bad childhood at school, and I went through a bit of like special school sort of stuff. But left school when I was 16, took an apprenticeship in roofing. When I was younger, my stepdad used to take me window cleaning. And when I went for the interview for my first roofing job, the guy asked me to walk up the ladder and go up the roof. And I walked up the ladder and went on the scaffold. He said, "You got the job straight away," without even asking me a question. He said, "You don't know how many people can't do that." He says, just the fact that you can do that is big, and you're only 16. So basically, he put me through CITB college, getting MBQ 1 and 2 in slating and tiling, which I completed and that. But towards the end, he sort of like having financial difficulties and couldn't afford to keep me on. So I've sort of like, from then I've gone, working for different people from one to the next. But I sort of like get trapped in like the trap where you get a job, you get a flat, you lose the job, you lose the flat, and you go round in a circle, and you never seem to sort of get anywhere in life, And being from a family like I'm from, it's hard to get the support because my mum can't support me. I end up having to support her quite a lot of times, and like you hear of all these things that the government say they got available to people, and they never materialise. They're just half time. They're just words, Sometimes you just gotta try and do things off your own back. But I think there's only so far you can get on your own. You know what I mean? You have to like sort of ask for a bit of help along the way to try and get that little bit further. You know what I mean? And some people, they take advantage. When they see you've got a skill, they should be like praising you, helping you move forward. But what they do is they use you and take advantage of you, and then you end up going downhill instead of going forward again. You know what I'm saying? So you get sort of caught in a trap, if you understand what I'm saying. And I've sort of decided to myself now that I don't want to do that no more, because I'm getting nowhere with that sort of thing. And I have actually worked for a guy where I set a business up for him in London, working through Rated People, Check Trade, on the websites. I set the website up for him. I was doing method statements. I quoted the jobs, everything. He was basically picking up materials and just dropping on job, and I was doing everything. Even did all the quoting, the website, everything. And he was paying me a wage, and I thought I deserved a bit of a percentage, and we had a bit of a words, and he didn't want to pay me a percentage, so therefore he was using me just like the rest. So I decided to forget that. But he's not doing that company anymore, because he can't do it without me. You know what I'm saying? But I can do it without him. But like, that's one of my goals now, is to try to do that for myself now. Sort of like, it's my time now. I've got to start doing things that are helping myself instead of helping everybody else. Because it's easy to help other people, it's harder to help yourself. Basically, after I started this business up with that guy and I came to London, I seen sort of like the opportunities down in London. And when I came to London, I thought London would be like back home, where you could get into a hostel quite easy. But then when I sort of came here, it's like they had this sort of like connection thing, and you had to get spotted living on the streets 3 times in one spot, and that's never going to happen because you're getting moved by police and all sorts of things. And sometimes you got to sleep where it's safe, in front of cameras, or you know what I mean. And you're out in the open, if you know what I'm saying. And when you're sort of like in that life and in them hostels, you're around sort of people that are taking drugs and are drinking alcohol and stuff, and you sort of become your surroundings, if you understand what I'm saying. It's like dangling a sweet in front of a kid and telling him not to eat it. He's going to take the sweet every time. Sometimes it's like the stress and the depression of being on the streets can sort of push you in that direction, and like you have to be really of a strong person to sort of like not go down that road. You know what I mean? There's so many people that go down that road. But I'd sort of like try and keep myself with certain morals, like keep away from certain things. Like when I came to London, half my problems back home was drinking and that. So when I come to London, I stopped the drinking. And also I used to get to like quite a lot of fights back home and that, because I had a bit of a reputation when I was younger. And I said to myself, when I come here, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to fight, and I'm going to change myself. And then ended up finding out that I'm a different person than I am back home, and that people can get along with me, and I can, you know, not meet people and be friends with people. And I find I got lots of friends, and I end up being somebody that I didn't think I was. You know what I mean? So I ended up sort of being myself in somewhere where no one knows you, and you've not got a reputation, because you can just be your own person. And being in that sort of like environment and along that sort of lines, it's hard to resist like the drugs and the alcohol and stuff, because it's sort of like it has a negative impact on your life, but in some ways it can be a positive thing, because it allows you to release, if you understand what I'm saying. It's like even when you quit and you try and quit drugs, because I obviously like detox now and I'm actually clean, and one of the things when I was detoxing, it was like you start detoxing, and then after like a week you have to go and do something to release that pressure off. So you have to like quit for a week, do something, and then next time 2 weeks and 4 weeks. You can't just do it straight off like that, because it's too much pressure. You know what I mean? And you have to sort of like gradually, you know, get yourself back on the road. You know, you can't sort of like do it all in one go. You know, you've got to do things gradually. Well, when you sort of like got a habit and you're addicted to heroin, you sort of like, it affects your energy levels, affects your sleep, affects how you eat, because your stomach shrinks, and sometimes you don't eat a lot of food, so therefore you lose weight. And because you sleep on the streets, you're not always got somewhere to wash, and you know what I mean? Obviously you got day centres and stuff like, but when you're taking drugs, it's like the drugs comes first all the time, and then when you're trying to do things yourself, like your day-to-day things, they come second. So when you wake up, you're going to do the drugs first, and then you're leaving all the stuff that normal people do, like everyday day-to-day things, are getting forgot, like the cleanliness and getting clean clothes, your health, going to doctors and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And basically eating food and that as well. You can get yourself seriously ill by losing weight. Well, basically, when you're homeless on the street, you sort of like, you've got nowhere to go. So you end up sort of like asking people for money, begging on the streets. I know sort of like a few other people that have got habits, they sort of like shoplift from shops and that. I didn't sort of like want to go down that road of committing crime, because people will help you and give you if you ask them, you know what I'm saying? And you can sort of like get by enough to sort of, you know, survive, if you get what I'm saying. It can be difficult sometimes, because certain people, they ridicule you and they look at you as like in some ways it's like it's racism to homeless people, because they sort of like brand you in a certain bracket. But at the end of the day, you're only homeless. You're not, you know what I mean? You're taking the drugs because you are homeless. You know what I mean? You ain't on the drugs that made you homeless. That's what people sort of have the perception of, that you took drugs and you messed your life up. But it's not necessarily the case, because when you become homeless, that's when you start taking drugs. So you become homeless for another reason, if you understand what I'm saying. And that then can put you down that road. Stealing money off other people is one of the worst things. And it's not something I'm proud of. It's not something I've done a lot, but you do sort of like end up hurting people that are close to you by doing that. You know what I'm saying? You end up taking off the people that you most likely wouldn't, if you understand what I'm saying. The ones that sort of help you the most end up being the ones that you end up hurting. Basically, what people do is they blame the addict for his addiction. But one of the things that I sort of think, like, the addict, when someone's an addict, they act a certain way and they do certain things, but they're not doing them certain things because they want to. They're doing them things because the drugs are making them do them things. They're not doing it because that's what they would normally do if they weren't on drugs. It's like the drugs changes you as a person and makes you do things that you wouldn't normally do. And like, I forgot the question. They sort of like blame the addict for his addict, but it's sort of like the things and the like things he's experienced, like the abuse or that he's probably had in his life, or certain things like that can sort of make you take drugs, because there's certain things you want to forget and you can't forget them, and sometimes you take drugs to forget them because it's too painful to keep thinking about it, and you want to forget but you can't. So you end up taking drugs so you can forget, or drinking. That's why people drink. People do lots of things because they can't control their own thoughts, because some of their own thoughts are that bad that they can't deal with them. Basically, the support that I need right now is I've got the ability to do what I need to do, but I've never sort of like had like financial support and infrastructure support, having sort of like the means to do what I want to do. It's like I hit brick walls and can't get past them walls because you need certain things to do it. It's not necessarily always financially. It could be I haven't got the tools, or I can't get the certain, like, you know, not having a vehicle and stuff like that, and other things. But as things go through and technology comes in, it is helping and it's making things easier. But like you then need a phone that's on internet. You need internet connection all the time, and sometimes it can get difficult trying to do that. And also it's like it can get complicated and very sort of like confusing with the system online and that now. It would be that when I was born, my dad was basically in prison when I was born, and now when he came out of prison, he sort of like, I think he ended up having to marry my mum because I was born. So he got married to my mum and they ended up splitting up after 6 months. But I used my name Mark Amos at school, and I always thought my name was Mark Amos. And when I was 17, I did actually send away for my driving licence and that to get my driving licence. They sent me a letter back saying no recollection of you on record. So when I went and got my birth certificate, it said Dudley, a different name, which was my brother's and sister's older name. Now, it took me a long time to because of like issues with my dad and my relationship with my dad and stuff. It's sort of like, it was difficult to get in touch with him to change it, because I had to take my mum's marriage certificate and get my dad to sign a form to say that I could change my name, because they won't accept no depot change to give you your license. You know what I mean? People think they do, but they don't, because I tried to do that. And I wish I'd have like been a bit more forceful and just swallowed my pride and got that sorted, because if I'd have had my license when I was 18, I'd have probably been running the business now. I mean, it's one of the biggest things that's affected me. And one of the things I think, like the government, you know, when you're younger and they send your national insurance number out when you're 16, why don't they try and help people get their passport and driving license like that when they're 16? It can open up doors for people. The amount of things like not having a passport and not having a driving license has had a massive impact on my life. It's probably stopped me from having a business right now. In some way, it's like in some way it's like you refuse to fail. Like, fail is not an option. If you're homeless on the street, you can't afford to fail. You know what I mean? You've got to get your money for your drugs. You've got to get food to eat. Because if not, what's the alternative? There is no alternative. You know what I mean? You've got no choice. You have to find a way. So you then end up becoming a strong person and quite determined with what you need to do. which can be a good thing, but also can be a bad thing, because that determination can lead you to an even bigger drug addict, because it can have an impact on your habit. In some way, maybe, but I think those people that have probably got something to say probably already know what I'm going to say, so maybe it needs to be kept between me and them. And maybe certain people want to say certain things to people, but the person they want to say it to knows what they want to say, so in some way you still have that sort of connection, you know what I mean? It's like people do understand certain people, but sometimes you have to ask for help to ask for the understanding, if you know something. It's like they know how to understand you and they know what you want to do, but they won't help you until you ask. Well, it's like myself, I find it like not very good the way, like, things in the government, they say things are there to help certain people, and me myself, I've been through the care system. I've grown up with a mother that's got 5 lads and 1 daughter. She brought us all up on her own. Had a bit of a difficult childhood, and basically I find out that all the things that they say that are there to support you, when you sort of like ask for it, there's no funding there. The funding's been cut for everything, even like mental health and stuff like that. And if the government sort of like helped people more and funded people more, it would benefit them as well, not just the person that they're funding. And like, it's very difficult now to start like doing things and getting yourself on your feet, because quite a lot of people are competitive now, and with the internet it's making it a lot easier for people to do things, so there can be a lot more competition. So you've got to sort of like have that little bit like of a difference, you know what I mean? Have that little extra oomph, or that little something that can put you at a higher level, or have a bit something that you can offer, you know, like as a more of an option. And basically I do have sort of like a part regret that I didn't do this when I was younger, because when I was younger I was a bit more angry with myself, with how I was and who I was as a person, and so I had to grow up a little bit to understand. But I wish I knew now what I know now then, because things would have been different. But it's not always that easy, you know, and sometimes, you know, people just need a bit more support, you know, and people need to help each other. There's too much hate and too much like badness going on at the moment, and people have forgot how to be a team, you know what I mean, and how to help each other. People don't even want to approach people in the street. They're too scared to. Kids don't go out and play in the street no more. I mean, they work at home playing big computer games. I would say, if you are, seek help. Try and talk to people, or communicate with your family, or try and go and see someone about your mental health or your depression, or, you know, because obviously if you're taking drugs, there's an issue there that needs to be addressed. So the best thing I could say was to try and see a drug worker, or go and see someone for mental health and talk to people. There's groups and things you can go to, and there's lots of stuff that you can get involved in that can help you.